Across the UK, on DAB digital radio, on the free Times Radio app, and on your smart speaker, Mariella Fostrup on Times Radio.
Welcome back, and in the last 10 minutes or so of the show, some showbiz. Yes, it's time to catch up with the very latest from the glitzy world of entertainment. Joining me this week is Josh Rom, very much an entertainment journalist and expert. Josh, welcome. Let's talk, first of all, if you would, about F9, the latest film in the Fast and Furious series, which enjoyed a very strong opening weekend, as I understand it. And honestly, every adult I've spoken to who's seen it, because I thought, oh yeah, it's one for the kids. And, you know, every adult I've spoken to who's seen it was like, oh, it was just great. It was just a reason to go back to the cinema. It's everything that you want in a sort of sensory experience. Is that the impression you're getting? Just how successful has it been?
Yes, well, good afternoon, Mariella. Sorry about that. Yes, that is the exact impression that I am getting from my fellow cinema goers, from fellow critics, from pundits. I mean, that's the thing. We've been locked out of cinemas now for months on end. So this is very much a big budget franchise film coming back into the cinemas. It is the film of the summer, I think, that has been, put out by the film studio to try and drag people back into the cinemas to go see it. And I think this is absolutely reflected in the performance figures. So it's the 10th installment of the franchise. So it's very clear that appetite for this franchise is not waning. It made more than $400 million worldwide, so that's over £287 million. Now, if we compare this to the film of last summer, Tenet, bearing in mind Tenet had a much higher budget. Fast and Furious 9, F9, the Fast Saga, had a budget of $200 million. Tenet, by comparison, bearing in mind that was the film of summer of 2020, that only made above, I think, $360 million worldwide in the box office. So already, bearing in mind that is the collective total for Fast and Furious within its opening weeks to make over $400 million, that I think is a good sign that not just that the franchise itself isn't waning, but actually people want to go back into the cinema. People want to go back and see these big budget action franchises. And more importantly for the studios, when we're looking at release calendars further ahead, it is possible to make money during a pandemic.
Is it an indication that now, delayed films like, well, the most famous one, I suppose, would be the James Bond, No Time to Die. Does it mean that actually we might start seeing some of those films start coming out now?
Yeah, I think this is definitely a positive sign for movie studios. And I think when it comes to James Bond, No Time to Die, Universal are going to be looking at F9, the Fast Saga. They're going to be looking at the figures there and are going to be looking at how it's performed, not just in US markets, but worldwide, because that, I think, is the main way to make money in terms of cinema goers. But that's the thing. I think Disney as well is going to be looking at this very closely. Disney have a lot of great films on the horizon. We've got Kenneth Branagh's Death on the Nile, going to be released by 20th Century Pictures. We've also got Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch going to be released pretty soon as well, hopefully. So I think F9 is very much that kind of signal that, yes, there is hope on the horizon for these big budget blockbuster movies that the studios have effectively put on hold, not in terms of making, but in terms of releasing, yes.
Moving on from cinema to the smaller screen, the latest series of Strictly Come Dancing may be a long way away still, but there's news of a new judge, I understand.
Yes, so Anton Dubeck, he is going to be stepping in Bruno Tonioli's shoes. Bruno, of course, is busy in the US doing the equivalent over there, Dancing with the Stars. So because of coronavirus restrictions, it's not possible for him to continuously fly back and forth, obviously, due to quarantine. So Anton Dubeck, it's well known for Strictly fans out there. He has been vying for this judging position for a long time. So I think it was music to Strictly fans' ears when it was announced that he was stepping in for Bruno Tonioli. But by doing so, he's effectively trebled his pay packet. So as a dancer, it was reported that he was earning about £65,000 as a professional dancer. Now, it's been reported in The Sun that a lot of the pro dancers feel they are underpaid, but Anton Dubeck, he's going to be receiving between £175,000 and £200,000 in stepping in for Bruno Tonioli this year. However, I think it's very important to note that this is still not as much money as Bruno Tonioli would usually get. It's been reported that his pay packet is usually around the £250,000 mark. So it's very interesting. Is this a money-saving exercise for the BBC? But saying that, Anton Dubeck, very happy, trebling his pay packet.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, isn't it?
A lot of money.
Well, that's a reality show, I suppose, in a way. Tonight marks the return of another reality TV favourite, doesn't it?
A reality TV
Come on,
favourite.
off you go.
A reality TV favourite that I like to call a beauty pageant, except without the talent portion of the contest. Love Island is back on ITV2 tonight, I think at 9 p.m. 11 new contestants. They're back in Mallorca. They're going to be entering that villa. Of course, this isn't going to be the final lineup. We're going to have bombshells coming into the villa all throughout the series. But it's very interesting because we've got the first disabled contestant to compete on the show, PE teacher Hugo Hammond. He's going to be joined by the likes of model turned influencer Shannon Singh, fashion blogger Kaz Kamwi as well, and a former civil servant. This is very interesting. Sharon Gafka, who previously worked on Brexit policy. She worked in the first stages of the pandemic within the Department of Health as well. And she's also worked for 6 months for the Department of Transport. I still think, we've seen all the reports in the press about diversity on the cast, body diversity, maybe even LGBTQ diversity. As yet, with the cast that's been announced, we're yet to see that. However, obviously, with the bombshells coming in, we don't know. But I did mention Hugo Hammond, the PE teacher, the first disabled contestant. He was born with club foot. Now, it's very interesting that there's been this kind of huge hype around it being like, yeah, first disabled contestant. However, in the pictures, he appears very much kind of like the usual Love Island type. And a lot of pundits have described this as a small step rather than a big leap to extra inclusivity and diversity among the Love Island cast.
Yeah, it does sound a little bit gratuitous, if you ask me. But
I agree.
Who am I to comment?
Well, Mariella, you were in Absolutely Fabulous. Meanwhile, this is the closest I'm going to get to being on Ab Fab. I love the book club episode. So, listen, there's a place for everyone.
Do you know what? That was one of my favourite experiences ever. I mean, can you imagine the excitement of being asked to take part in Ab Fab and spend a week
and not just that, working closely with Joanna Lumley, talking about all these themes when you're going through all the showbiz mags. I loved it. Loved it.
It was so exciting. And Kristen Scott Thomas was on that episode as well.
She was.
I was so excited. I thought Hollywood would come crawling and beckoning and begging me to come after my incredible acting performance. But sadly, that was a bit of a one-off, apart from a couple of pop-ups in coupling. But
well, listen, if a movie comes back, never say never. If there's a second movie, never say never.
But you know, if you're sitting in a room with Jennifer and Joanna, you just think, oh my goodness, every single showbiz dream has come true, really.
Come to light, come to reality. Love it, love it.
I think it's only a matter of time when the Love Island cast gets diverse enough to include me in it. Do you think there'd be room?
I mean,
don't you laugh?
I mean, no, I'm not laughing. I love the joke that you made. Because the thing is, I would hope that there's only a matter of time. I think it's such a shame because whenever there's an early 30s somebody in it, like a 31-year-old or a 32-year-old, a lot of the audience on Twitter go, oh, that's so old. And I just think, no, this is not good. But the thing is with Love Island this year, the market has become very much more saturated. Love Island is in it's not in its infancy anymore, and there are other series out there. I've been watching Netflix's Too Hot to Handle, and I gotta say, a lot of people are already talking about that. It's only in its second series, as Love Island is past its sixth series. So, there's a lot more out there in terms of reality TV, and I wouldn't be surprised if Love Island goes down the Big Brother route in terms of its waning popularity.
I think we should have one that starts with people post 50 looking for love.
I mean, Celebrity Love Island. It was a format back in the day. Let's bring it back. Let's start a campaign, Mariella.
Bring it back. That's what I say. Listen, Josh, lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us today.